It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick and Michael Cindric. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a beautiful Monday afternoon in Nashville. We've got a national title game tonight in college football. That is pretty exciting stuff. Let's get the water and sort of
come on, George. This is TV.
Yeah, put it in the rear view mirror. Hello, Billy.
Hello, George.
Yes, good of you to strike first.
You like me chiming in?
Not really. No. But nonetheless, you did.
You'd rather have Watson.
Well, let's bring Watson up. He joins us from the Plateau. Watson, hope you had a good weekend.
I did, George, and you sound a little bit gruff, so you've been a little under the weather, huh?
I have been a little bit under the weather.
Yeah.
There are hourly medical updates right now. I would say the update feels like.
Yeah.
Just fill in the blank.
The update is we got a ways to go yet. So
we do have a ways to go. Yeah.
Just don't give it to me, okay?
No, I don't think it's possible.
I think I'm warning.
Can I get it through the internet? That's no way to do that, is it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so, but we'll check on that.
Okay, help me with that.
If that happens, it'll be.
You're a weatherman, so I figured you could be a scientist or a doctor or something where you could.
Yeah.
Pray for me, though, Watson. I'm the one in danger here. So.
Yeah, you're the one in danger, big boy.
Hopefully, I don't catch anything.
Good luck to you.
George, the plaster disease you do not want.
Let's check in with Terry McCormick for what officially will be our final daily Titans update of the year. But Terry, trust me when I tell you Wednesday, we're going to want you for the dreaded State of the Union.
The State of the Union.
Yeah. Just sort of put that one on your calendar.
Yeah, I will, George.
Excellent. So, Vrabel held his press conference today. Excuse me?
So Billy told me to hold my phone sideways, which I'm doing, but I'm kind of off center here in the picture.
You are, but I think you've looked really good.
There we go.
I think 3/4 of you've been just fine, especially if you're wearing that nasty Yankee hat. Are you?
And as we say that, we may have lost Terry.
We lost him. Oh, man.
I'm here, George. Can you hear me?
There he is.
Terry, do you have the Yankee hat on?
I do.
Oh, God. Okay, well, obviously that's not going to change anytime soon. Neither are the Titans' woes. We're going to listen to a little bit of Mike Vrabel later in the hour. What little words of wisdom did he impart on y'all?
Well, he said, several things. He hinted that there are going to be changes, which obviously there need to be changes. He didn't say yet whether or not there will be changes involving the coaching staff. He didn't say, exactly what, but he did say they have to do a better job of protecting the quarterback. I think that is probably something that a lot of people could have figured out without Mike telling them that. And then the other thing, he said that this team has to get faster. He said they are not very often the fastest team on the field. So that tells me that speed is going to be an emphasis for this team. And it was interesting when he was asked if the offense was still going to run through Derrick Henry, he said they were assessing and evaluating everything.
Terry, I thought, given what's on their roster right now, they played about as well as they can. The problem is they have no roster.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think, you're talking about a team that had 23 guys on injured reserve. So when you've got 23 out of 53 on injured reserve, that's about 45%, I would say, of the roster you probably started the year with. So that's certainly not a recipe for success. And he said that they're going to have to evaluate how they do things as far as training, rest and recovery, all those sorts of things to try and get to the bottom of this to see if there's anything more involved other than just bad luck when it comes to injuries.
So he's pretty open-minded about this.
Seem to be. Yeah, I think it's a situation where there's a lot of things that have to be done to overhaul. I guess the question I think that, and he really didn't answer this, do they try to retool it and make another go at it? Or do they, come closer to tearing it all the way down and try and rebuild it for 2 or 3 years from now when they're ready to go into a new stadium?
Terry, NFL Network today released 5 names that the Titans have requested permission to speak to regarding the GM job. You want me to run through those?
Sure, go ahead.
San Francisco Assistant GM Adam Peters, San Francisco Director of Player Personnel Ran Carthen, Cleveland Assistant GM Glenn Cook, Buffalo Senior Director of Pro Personnel Malik Boyd, and Chicago Assistant GM Ian Cunningham, who also apparently will interview with the Cardinals because they've requested the exact same thing. Terry, any common thread to those? And look, I'm not going to believe for a minute that Amy Strunk knew who the hell any of these people were. So where'd she get these?
I think that's probably just a name that, she probably consulted with, just talked to some folks around the league, kind of got some ideas. Who knows? Vrabel may have been involved in that somewhat. I think when you look at the list, I think it's wise to look at the 49ers organization because they're doing well right now. I think it's wise to look at the Bills organization. I don't think it's very wise to go after somebody that's been with Cleveland or Chicago because they're right there in the same spot you are, not having had much success. I don't know what the interest would be there in terms of what piques your interest in saying, hey, this guy might help. Well, if he's that good, he'd be helping Cleveland or Chicago have success. I think they should be looking more, like you said, the 49ers. I think the Bills. I'd be looking at some of the Eagles people. I'd be looking at some of the Kansas City Chiefs people to see if, some of those guys can come in here and,
There he is.
There he is.
So Terry, let me try this before we end this. I think Mike Vrabel, from a coaching standpoint on game day, has done as good as you can do with the mess that is in his lap. However, we know what goes on in this league. 7-game losing streaks tend to put you on some level of hot seat. Do you think he's on any level of hot seat?
I don't think so just yet. I think, the hot seat, obviously got John Robinson. I think they want to give Mike Vrabel an opportunity to fix this. And then, if it doesn't get fixed, then I think he would be on the hot seat. But I don't think he's on the hot seat right now. I think, he just picked up more power once John Robinson was shown the door. So my guess is that he's going to have a big hand in who this next general manager is.
Terry, anything else you need to leave us with?
It's interesting today. We talked to Ryan Tannehill and, he said that there are going to be a lot of big changes. He said he wants to be back here, but, he said that there are changes that are going to be made. So who knows? I mean, it may be a house cleaning once a new GM gets in here and they start deciphering all this, or it may be just, keep some of the pieces and move forward and try to improve the others.
Terry, do you really think there's a scenario where he's not back?
It's possible, I guess, if they need the cap space and they want to, go a different direction and get younger at the position. My gut feeling says he probably comes back here for that final year of his contract. But, I've learned never to say never in this league, George.
Oh, you're right about that. Terry, you'll be thrilled to know that ESPN's 5-hour pregame show on the college title game continues.
Excellent.
I believe.
Let me know when time for kickoff.
I believe it's called Overkill.
Yes. You'll see it again in the Super Bowl.
We've got you right now about 60% of your. Oh, there we go. Yeah. The best news is we don't see the Yankee emblem.
Oh, darn.
Listen, thank you for a really good year of this. Look forward to a spicy State of the Union on Wednesday.
All right. Sounds good.
Terry McCormick, that's for the last time during football season. That's his daily Titans update.
Yeah, unfortunately, George, for all the Titans fans out there, we do get Terry again this week for the Titans State of the Union, another dreaded one, most likely. But
Probably.
His daily Titans update has been brought to you by Hit After Hit, the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. Give them a call at 615-399-2287. Again, that's 615-399-2287. Or find them on the web at hitafterhitonline.com. All right, we got a loaded update today. Of course, a lot of football, a lot of NFL on Black Monday around the league. And we'll start with Cliff Kingsbury. Arizona has decided to fire him 10 months after signing him to a contract extension through the 2027 season. They also announced that their GM, Steve Keim, has decided to step away from his position in order to focus on his health. So a little bit different situations, but coach and GM both gone in Arizona.
Keim's deal is no surprise. That's been rumored for a while. Watson, does Kingsbury end up back on the college level?
Well, he got fired on that level too. And when you go back to back, it will slow it down. If he ends up on the college level, George, it will be on the lower level of where he is, where he was. I'm not sure he'll hit a Power 5 on the college level. He may go back to a Group of 5 or something like that, and he could end up being a coordinator in the NFL. That's kind of what I think might be next. Is somebody hires him as the offensive coordinator somewhere.
Billy, I know you've got a story number 2, but I've got a better one. Damar Hamlin has been released from a Cincinnati hospital. Think about that.
That's crazy.
Less than a week after we saw what we saw. Unbelievable. Man. Good for him.
Great news.
Yeah.
Great news.
But I had tears in my eyes when that kid returned that opening.
Oh my God.
For a touchdown.
Yeah.
If that's not divine intervention, how can you not believe after that happened? And then after the game, they say the number 3, it had been 3 years and 3 months since there had been a kickoff return for the Buffalo Bills. Divine intervention, guys. I don't care what you say. We can't give the medical people enough credit in this. We can't. There's not enough to go around. But don't think there wasn't somebody from upstairs that had a little bit to do with this one. I don't think I've never been a believer that our man upstairs has anything to do with a win or a loss. But on something like this, I think he's around. And there's no doubt he was a part of this one.
When Watson says the man upstairs, we're not talking about a general manager.
No, there's enough of those in trouble. So we're going a little bit further up than the general managers.
Yeah. Okay, go to story number 2, which is disgusting.
It really is. Lovie Smith has been fired by Houston just hours after the team finished 3-13-1 in his first season. They have now fired back-to-back coaches after just 1 year, letting David Culley go last January. You got to think to yourself, did they fire him because he won that game? I mean,
I don't know.
No.
But I'll say this.
I think he was fired before he ever went on the trip.
And I don't understand that. Why do they fire him? The team's awful.
They're just about like they were a year ago. And this is what's funny to me, guys. They let David Culley go, who I'm a little prejudiced about. Mm-hmm. But they let David Culley go because he wasn't tough enough on the players. He just let things a little loose and just wasn't tough enough. And then they let Lovie Smith go, that I read that he was too tough on the players, that he was too much old time, and he wouldn't listen to them, and he wouldn't take any of their advice on anything. What do you want at the place? I'm wondering what the next guy is going to look like. He's going to sit between those two guys, George. I don't know. Other than the dollars, I'm not sure anybody would be really excited about going. But they say that the Texans are really in good shape their base of personnel is really good and young. They say that they've improved the facility with $4 million here recently with their training room and locker rooms and all that. And so they think everybody is saying through ESPN that this could be fixing to be a really good job again. So who the heck knows? I don't know that I've ever seen anybody fire a guy in 1 year, turn around and fire another guy in 1 year. That's a lot of money they're out. I can tell you that.
I'm going to throw a you-know-what in the punch bowl.
Throw it.
So in the search for their next coach, they are required to interview a minority. I would love to be a fly on the wall when that minority meets with them and says, are you going to screw me over the way you've screwed the last two? I mean, how would an African-American candidate take that organization seriously?
I don't know. I don't know at all. And one of the top minorities out there is a young man I recruited hard at UAB, ended up going to Alabama. That's D'Amico Ryans.
Right.
He's right there in Birmingham. But he played for the Texans and sued them over the turf or something when he tore his Achilles. So I doubt they go that direction, but I don't know, George. This is really a mess to me.
It looks really bad.
Yeah.
It looks awful.
Yep.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on to some better news for college football fans. They get to watch Cam Rising another year at Utah, a back-to-back Pac-12 champ and 2 Rose Bowl appearances. He's coming back to Salt Lake City for his senior season. And all of a sudden, you look at the quarterbacks in the Pac-12, it's kind of ridiculous, the returning quarterbacks in that conference. We're going to get some good football there late at night this year.
He's a good one. The big rub has been that in 2 consecutive Rose Bowls, he's gone out with injury, and that's left them holding the bag. Not that that's his fault. It's just a fact.
Yeah, and I think it's been the same knee. So I wouldn't doubt there's some form of surgery here in the off season, and he knew that. And so he just decided, I'll get me another year and prove to everybody I can be healthy. But when I understood, it was the same knee in both years.
Wow.
Well, a little bit more encouraging news for the people in Knoxville. Dante Thornton, Oregon transfer receiver, a guy that Tony Basilio told us to keep an eye on. He's transferring to Tennessee. Big guy, 6'5", still got 2 years of eligibility left. Didn't do a whole lot last year, but a lot of upside. And you got a feeling that he liked Tennessee and that Heupel offense. Pretty good get for Tennessee to replace, their 2 big time receivers.
Yeah, you would think a lot of throw it up on the goal line and let him go up and get it.
Yes, the Tennessee wide receivers are not your typical running shallow crossing routes and all that, George. They're vertical people. Everything Tennessee does is in a vertical way. And they also like big bodies out there to block because they throw a lot of those, what I call bubbles or stuff on the out, those quick throws on the outside that are what I call a wide receiver screen. It doesn't have any linemen involved in it. But so they want the bigger guys, and it's work for them. And they've got McCoy coming back, and now they've added this kid. They're off to a really good start.
Yeah.
Getting this guy, I don't think they're really going to be slowing down at all on offense.
Probably not.
No.
Okay. Done?
We're done, George. I had a few more pieces, but we can get to those tomorrow.
Yes. Let's not let anything be timely.
We got to stay on time here.
Oh, it's vitally important. So after the break, the reason it's so vitally important is so many of you are waiting to hear Watson's Titans analysis. I can help you with this part. It doesn't sound all that good.
Not my favorite time, but
no.
That's all you need to hear from Watson, the big sigh.
Okay, that analysis is coming up next. Stay tuned.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is simple. I chose Hermitage Strike and Spare. They were amazing. Great food, great bowling, and a staff that's ready to go the extra mile. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5665.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Okay. We're ready. Or at least I think we're ready. Watson Brown's Titans Analysis, brought to you by the folks at Pennington Distilling Company. Watson, would you agree with me that Saturday night they did about all they could?
I was real proud of the players. I thought the effort was unbelievable. The emotion that they showed after the game and how much it hurt them not to get to the playoffs again. I applaud the effort of the players in that football game. There was a never quit right till the last play of the game. I mean, and then watching Simmons, even as they're running the clock out at the end, these kids were really hurt. These young men were really hurt, George, when they lost this game. So nothing against those guys in an effort way whatsoever, and in a physical way. They fought their hearts out.
Yeah. And the truth of it is, had they gotten in, they were going to be, in my opinion, the worst team in the tournament.
Yeah, you'd have to say that. I mean, because the way they were getting in was just defense alone. There really was no offense in the game, hardly at all. One drive, one good, solid drive. Most of the other points came off of a little field position. There was a return kickoff that gave them 3. They got great field position on a turnover that gave them 3. So, I mean, it was all defense in the ball game to keep them in the game, George. But they were there and honestly should have won the game.
Yeah,
they really should have won the game because they had it. It was there. Make one more first down, it's completely over. Well, not necessarily because they did. But the Jags did have 3 timeouts left, so they at some point would have started using their timeouts. But they were there. They had it right in the palm of their hand, and Jacksonville had gone 3 and out 3 series in a row, so they weren't moving the ball. And honestly, Trevor Lawrence did not play well. Did not.
No, he really didn't.
Well. He really didn't, and I'm going to talk about that in the analysis as we go here. But he really did not have a good game at all. He's very lucky that he doesn't have the Ryan Tannehill thing hanging over his head today, like poor Ryan had at this time last year.
Okay, let's look at your however you want to call them 4 points.
My 4 points.
Let's start with this one. What do you mean by this?
Well, we had one big play in the whole ball game. We faked the ball to Derek, took a Conquo up the boundary, threw a beautiful on-time throw. Our quarterback got knocked on his fanny as he let the ball go. He didn't even see if it was caught. You see the close-up of him laying on the ground trying to turn to see if he caught the ball.
Yeah.
Great throw, great catch. That was it. One big play in the whole game by the Titans. 2 costly turnovers that were costly. And then just costly penalties in the second half, George, just stopping drive after drive. We talk about discipline with the Titans, but if you really look, and we're going to get into this on Wednesday, there was a lot of undiscipline this year, especially at critical times with critical penalties. In that 7-game losing streak, man, I don't know that we talked about enough of the critical penalties they had that really cost us games. And Saturday was no different. Very critical penalties at the wrong times. You put us 1st and 15, 1st and 20, you're pretty much punting the ball. I mean, it's hard for us to make that up.
Item number 2 is
3 big plays cost us the game. And 2 of them were on our quarterback. I'll try to take them in order here. The first one was Josh throwing a takeoff route. Again, what is it? 3rd and long. We're backed up inside our 10. And he throws a takeoff route, George. And you cannot throw a takeoff route that isn't the primary target unless you're scrambling late and just lay one up. When you throw a little late on a takeoff route, meaning I think he let the ball go late, the pass rush kind of got to him. He really had people in his face. He couldn't completely follow through. And he throws a floating ball straight up in the air, picked off and run back to our 25. Our defense holds them to 3. I mean, right there, 3 plays, kick a field goal, but it got them closer to us. And, I think it got it to 16-13 instead of 16-10. But that's on Josh. You cannot throw a takeoff route. When you're going to throw a takeoff route up the boundary, it has to be the primary receiver. It can't be, look here, turn, and then throw late. It goes from about 50-50 down to probably 30-70 when you throw a takeoff route late. You saw it happen to the Packers last night. I mean, Aaron Rodgers gets pressure in his face the last time they had the ball. He throws a late takeoff up the boundary. Free safety walks right over there, picks it off. You have to throw those fade routes on time to complete them. So Josh he held it too long and he was late, and that's what caused the interception. The second
go ahead.
one was huge, I thought. We're handed to Derek into the boundary. Okonkwo is blocking into the boundary. We gain about 25 yards. It's the biggest play Derek had in the night. Gets us to midfield. We're in the lead, and Okonkwo just absolutely undisciplined, reached out and grabbed the guy. I mean, right at the point of attack, guys, he just reached out and grabbed him. I'm going, what in the world are you doing? So we go from 1st and 10 at midfield, maybe they're 45, back to 1st and 20, and punted the ball. And you cannot do that. This is in the 4th quarter, maybe 7-8 minutes to go in the game. We're up 3 or 6. I can't remember the order of these that I'm going through, but it was huge in the game. And that was a big play that just absolutely may have cost us the game.
Watson, you've been talking about that all season long. That's their season. I mean, you get a long run from Henry, and then you got a stupid holding penalty.
Well, and stupid. This is not a questionable call. And this is at the point of attack. Nobody's going to miss that. Why in the world, if you've got any discipline at all, and the kids played well for us, but to reach out and grab the guy like that, it just really upset me. I said, what are you doing, man? And it cost them. And it may have cost them the game. And the last one, George, was the big interception or the fumble.
The fumble.
And what happens with this, and I don't mean to get technical, but what happens with this is it's a new look that you're getting in football. We had to our quarterback's right, they had a covered guy on the guard, a covered guy on the tackle, and an outside linebacker, if you know the play. Then from the center over, this is where it's a weird look. You don't get this. From the center over, nobody's on the center, and there's no down lineman on the guard. There's a linebacker on the left guard. there's a guy on our left tackle and an outside rusher outside the tackle. Well, what you do when the center's when the guard's uncovered and you turn the protection where their big linemen were. Well, they turned the protection from the guard all the way over, which left 2 blockers on 3 guys to the quarterback's back. What you have to do in football now, you turn the center but not the left guard. You turn the left guard when the center's covered. When the center's uncovered, you don't have to turn the whole protection. So either the center turned everybody or the quarterback did, and the quarterback didn't know what it was. So now the quarterback's caught, George, with 3 rushers on 2 blockers. Well, you have to throw hot into that. We didn't throw hot. You have to be letting the ball go within a 6-yard pattern to throw hot. We had an outcut at 10 yards wide open to Burks. I mean, first down, game over, but it's 10 yards, not 6. So he has to hold it that much longer, and he gets hit in the back and fumbles. It's a technical problem. It wasn't a physical problem. And who you blame with this has to be the quarterback. He has to be the one that controls the protection. If he's not, if the center is, he's got to know what the center's telling him. And that didn't happen. So we get a free rusher, a defensive back coming off the corner, hits us right in the back. It was a fumble. You can say anything you want. His arm's hit, and his arm hadn't come forward yet. The ball pops out of his hand, and the reason it went forward, his fingers tipped the ball in midair and knocked it forward. It was a fumble. It cost us the season. It cost us. But all of that happened, George, in the 4th quarter.
Yep.
So we just basically blew the game ourselves. None of those plays were caused by Jacksonville. They were caused by us. And it's too bad, but that's the way it goes sometimes. That shows you, George, to me, on that protection deal, how little bitty things, how letting that ball go a little bit late on that takeoff, just little bitty things that he's probably not used to yet. And not blaming Josh, but that's football. Little things really cause you big problems, and that's why you practice so much and you rep things so much of the time.
The third one is basically you saying what has hurt them from the very beginning, hurt them at the end.
George, it started the season hurting them, and it finished the year hurting them. We have the worst pass protection in professional football. We've had it for probably about 3 years now. We sure had it last year. And we really had it this year. And Ryan Tannehill, how he's stayed healthy up till now, I don't even know. But our pass protection is the worst in the NFL. When you got to drop back and throw the ball, we have the worst pass protection in the NFL. We still have secondary problems, and we absolutely have no go-to guy at wide receiver. We just don't have it. And those 3 things started the year killing us in a personnel way, and they've got to fix these things. I know we'll get into that Wednesday, but George, if we don't fix this problem, it cost us the game last year in the playoffs and being a number 1 seed. Pass protection cost us that game last year and being a number 1 seed. They've got to fix this offensive line issue. And yeah, it's personnel, but it's also got to be, how are we coaching them? Why can't we drop back pass better than we do? And, George, I'll say it on Wednesday. The Tennessee Titans will never win a Super Bowl if they can't drop back and throw the ball. You cannot win. I listened to Jimmy Johnson say it on Sunday. You score points by passing the football. You don't score points by running the football. Running the football can set up the pass, but you score points in the NFL passing the football. And we have got to become a better passing football team. And it's not going to go any further till we correct that.
Let's look at the 4th one, because this is one people want to hear from you. Second half issues continue. Is that a lack of creativity? Is what you're saying aimed at Todd Downing? Where is that aimed?
I don't know, because I'm not on the inside. All I can do is call it out. We have struggled in second halves. We seem to really move the ball well in first halves. and I'm talking offense here, second half issues, not defensively as much, but offensive second half issues. And we come out in the second half, George, and we don't seem to have a plan. That's when the discipline seems to show the most. Most of our penalties seem to come in second halves. And we just don't make any big plays in the second half of football games. It started at the start of the year. You remember back in games 1, 2, 3, right in there. What were we talking about? Why are we so bad in second halves?
Yeah.
And here, what happened again Saturday? We have a very nice first half. We leave with momentum. We come back out in the second half.
Nothing.
And I think we had did somebody tell me something like 68 yards of offense in the second half? I mean, you cannot win a championship when you have no offense in the second half. Our defense couldn't have played better in the second half. I mean, they'd stop them time after time. And George, to give our defense credit, we came out in the second half and put 5 defensive linemen. We weren't getting to the quarterback in the first half. We came out in the second half and put 5 defensive linemen in the game and rushed him, and it flustered him. I give our defensive coaches a lot of credit because time after time with quarterbacks this year, some of these really good quarterbacks come in and they get flustered against us. I remember Mahomes had won the game, but he had to beat us with his feet. They could not make it happen in the passing game. Mike and them are doing a good job of scheming these offenses and really slowing them down, especially in second halves, and to not have the complement on the other side of the ball. And our punter broke records in the NFL.
Oh,
so, what did it come back to? No offense in second halves, and it's got to get corrected. I don't know what the answer is because I don't know how it works inside. If Mike's involved with this, I don't know. But it's got to get corrected. The proof's in the pudding.
We will hear from Mike Vrabel when we come back, so stick around. Yeah, stick around.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com. Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East. And their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100. Okay, not going to waste any time. Let's get right to it. Mike Vrabel held what is an end-of-the-season press conference. We want you to listen in.
Mike, with all the injuries this year, how much do you take that into account assessing the offensive performance and Todd Downing as coordinator?
Well, I mean, I think you take into everything when you evaluate all levels of the organization. There were things, I think the consistency, is really the biggest thing, that stood out when you look at that particular unit and our units in general. I mean, there were conversations that we had earlier in the season, about our special teams being just one play away from being a dominating performance in the game, where we played really well and, punted and covered and tackled them inside the 20 and had punt returns and kickoff returns. And then, as attrition happened and, had some guys down and moving parts and bringing people in from other places, that happened offensively, that happened defensively, and happened on special teams. So, I think you look at it and you evaluate everything that you're doing and who you're doing it with and the staff that you put in place for the players.
Mike, in terms of just where this organization is, in your mind, are you better off with a minor changes and better luck, or major changes?
Well, I mean, I think change is obviously a part of this league. It's part of, professional sports. I think that there'll be conversations, here in the short term about, the general manager and where that goes. And then that person and I will have conversations. We'll have conversations with Amy, about the extent of the change that we have. I don't think that that's something that is going to happen, necessarily overnight, but there's going to be, change.
How about within the coaching staff? I know, like, you preach loyalty. That's one of your foundations. How do you weigh that against the performance that?
Yeah, and I don't think that, loyalty clearly is a two-way street, and so is trust and all that other stuff. And I think the one thing that, going back to where you drew that from, was things that I look for, or that I certainly want to make sure is at the forefront, is that, can you trust this person right outside of here, and can you trust them that the messages that you're portraying to the team are getting relayed, and that they're allowing for to put your message into their own words, and that they're not out there looking for another job, or they're not giving the players mixed messages. I think that's the loyalty, that I'm looking for. The loyalty that I have is obviously just to do, put people in place that are, right for the football team. And so I'll look at each and every phase of our team as it relates to the coaching staff, as it relates to the players. And, that process is obviously started, just finished up meeting with the players and, thank them, and then, I'll have conversations with the coaches, throughout this week and next week.
What's it bringing Todd back as offensive coordinator? What's it like for you, Mike, as a head coach? What was your final message to them?
Well, the final message was that I, thanked them. I thanked the guys that started this process on April 18th. They had been through a lot. I thanked them for their dedication. Other than a few games, that I felt like, maybe we were outmanned. I felt like, we competed. Unfortunately, we were 5-6 in one-score games. That's something that had been a strength of ours in the past, and it wasn't. I asked them to stay in communication with. I don't want this to be a seasonal type of deal. I don't want it to be transactional. Try to build a connection with them, try to make relationships with them. You care about their family, you care about their children and things that they're doing. So I've asked them to communicate and stay in communication. I'd hope that they had learned some lessons along the way outside of football, and told them to thank everybody here that helped them do their job this year.
Mike, are you bringing Todd back as the offensive coordinator?
Our offensive coordinator and Todd, that'll be part of the conversations, and that'll be part of my evaluation, this week as it relates to the football team.
Changes been made yet, Mike, on the coaching staff?
No, not yet. Just still, again, working through conversations with the players and having some meetings, and, I'll meet with the coaches and, continue that process.
When you look at offense in particular, Mike, and Todd's 2 years, numbers have gone down. Obviously, a lot of factors go into that with injuries and so forth, but You know, I guess what in your mind has he done best over the past couple of years?
Well, I mean, I think that there's a consistency. I think we've, built the offense around Derek. We've, had a lot of success in that regard. We have to protect our quarterback better. When you don't protect your quarterback, they get hurt or they turn the ball over. So we have to do that. We have to take care of the football. We gave it to our best player, and he turned it over this year, and he hadn't in the past. And so, there's a lot of factors that go into performance, and we'll look at everything.
Why is it important to bring back a guy like Jeffrey Simmons?
Well, Jeff's under contract, I think. So
But just in the future with the negotiations, just what does he bring to this team?
Oh man, leadership, toughness, accountability, performance. Just every day coming to work with a great attitude. He plays through a lot of pain and discomfort. He played, through a lot of things in his career here. So those are things that I value and appreciate in a player.
Are you optimistic that Ryan will be your starting quarterback next year?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of guys here that are under contract. We have a lot of guys that want Ryan to get as healthy as he possibly can, and then go and be our quarterback and figure out things that are going to help us win. And then that's the case for a lot of guys. A lot of guys are that are under contract that finished the season not out there. So let's get everybody healthy and let's see where everybody's at, and then we can make some decisions.
So you don't feel comfortable right now committing to Ryan as the starter for next year?
Well, I mean, he's our starting quarterback. If he was healthy, he's our starting quarterback. You know what I mean? So that's all I can tell you. And right now, there's a lot of guys that aren't healthy and that didn't finish the game. I mean, I think we're going to talk a lot of hypotheticals 2 days after our last game. So, happy to talk a lot about things that I can answer, but I can't answer things that, are in the future.
What has Amy told you about how the kind of search now that we're out of the season, how the search will play out for the GM and what your role will be?
Well, comfortable, with those conversations about, being involved. I think that they're excited about the group that they're going to bring in and meet with. And I think that, once they kind of get through that first process, be involved in, whatever would come after that in probably a smaller group. Excited about that process and being involved and, helping in any way that I can.
She asked for your input on anyone that you may already know that you would have a preference for?
Yeah, I mean, we've had conversations about it. So I would just say that those were good conversations, open conversations. So yeah, that's, it's not like Amy's kept me in the dark about the process and how that's going.
A lot of players talk about the uncertainty, with the fact that there is no GM at this time. Did you discuss that at all with your players and how they approach this offseason, whether they're under contract or not?
I mean, as a player, there was always uncertainty, so as a coach, there's uncertainty in this business. It's whether there's a GM, there's an interim GM, whether there's no GM, there's uncertainty. That wouldn't change if we hired a GM tomorrow.
Like with all the injuries the last couple of years, can you just chalk this up to bad luck, or is there anything you can do?
Well, we have to address it. We have to at least look at it, and we are, and we have, and we do it every single day. That I meet with Todd, that we meet with Frank, that we're trying to figure out what these injuries are, Gentry, and I know that everybody, has got the answers. I don't know if I have the answers on, the 90% of the injuries occurred in the game, right? Of an ACL or an MCL or a high ankle sprain. I mean, those are hard, We look at soft tissue injuries. We look at those soft tissue injuries of, repeat offenders. It doesn't take too hard to look and see that, Christian Fulton and David Long are, they repeat offenders of soft tissue injuries. They have to figure out a way to train and act like, the game is played at a high speed. Kevin Byard hadn't pulled a hamstring in since we've been here. You know what I mean? And there's a durability factor to playing professional football that we should not overlook. Like that's real. There's guys that are durable and there's guys that aren't. And we're going to try, you know what I mean? You're going to keep asking me about these questions or these injuries. And I'm going to try to do my best to answer them. How we practice, how we practice in preseason, and that the data that we're getting about the regeneration days. Now, do you want to be a blister or you want to be a callus? And, do you want to keep working through every day and you get your volume up so that you can withstand the volume and the rigors of the season? And that would be callus. Or do you want to be a blister and you want to, feel some discomfort, pull back, wait till you feel good, and then come back and do it for a couple of days, and then you're going to, keep feeling that way. So those are the two thoughts. We've tried to get them to maximum speed, 90%. We've talked about that throughout the week so that it's not Sunday to Sunday proposition that all of a sudden, they've got to go and sprint and get up to 90, 95%, and they haven't been there since the previous week. And there is a level of luck that I think there's a level, it's cyclical. I mean, we've had two, awful years as it relates to injuries. Prior to that, I think it was at a level where you could, say that it was in the range of normal. So.
Can you just describe how different is that thought process from when you first got here and the way you guys are doing things?
It's not. I mean, maybe the training camp, I think other than the training camp, we've added the regen days. We've added some of that time off. If anything, we've added that into the schedule of training camp, just trying to look at, the length of it, when you're not playing games and, there's some days where you have to look, and some guys that aren't playing in games, you're with the day off, the day before, you're trying to manufacture work for them. So we're always trying to be creative and make sure that everybody has a plan to stay as healthy as possible. And then obviously the return to play. I love what we do with our training staff, our rehab staff, the strength and conditioning that has knowledge within the football. Brian Bell puts a lot of time in with the coaches so that he knows what drills to do as these guys are returning to play, and then ultimately trying to get them back onto the field.
So, Watson, let me ask this question. You've been in coaching a lot longer. Well, you've been in coaching. I haven't been. Can you find an answer? I mean, is there going to be a day where Vrabel walks in and goes, I've got it. This is what's caused it?
No, you will not. There is no answer. There is not one thing that's caused this. A lot of it's luck. A lot of it is people. The thing you look at after I've had it happen to me, I told you about one year I had in my latter career where we had 42 players miss games. On the college level, that's unbelievable.
Oh, that's a ton.
And 26 surgeries in one season. So listening to him, it just brought back horror stories for me. I mean, you're sitting there saying, why? Why us? What are we doing? The one thing I think you do look at a little bit is the soft tissue stuff. Pull muscles, and I heard him say, and this is not a good sign for some people, repeat offenders. You have repeat offenders, you're not going to keep keeping them around. You're just not going to do it. I've had those kids where they struggle with a hamstring for 3 years. And of course, in college, you don't just get rid of them. It's you don't replace one. Now you do, I guess. I never was in the business where you just bring in 25 new ones from the transfer portal if you want and get rid of 25. I don't know. That's a different world for me. But yeah, I know what he's saying. It's frustrating. There is no answer. There are little bitty things you might do differently. And you look at people. You don't want to put all of your eggs on a guy that's been hurt for 3 years. You better have an alternate plan. And that's the problem I had with our left tackle. We had no alternate plan, and he goes down in the first or second game? I mean, but he's been hurt for the last 3 years. How in the world do you not have a plan knowing there's a good chance he's going down again? And that kind of stuff Mike will look at. I think, and will say, we're going into next season. We better have a plan if we keep this guy. We better have a plan if we keep this guy. I think he'll do that. But there's nothing your training staff did. There's nothing your strength and conditioning staff did. It's luck of the draw. It's really luck of the draw on ACLs and broken bones and that kind of thing, George. Concussions, all of that's luck of the draw. It really is. One thing we tried to do in concussions, teach our defensive backs, don't tackle with your head at all. Take your head out of it. And I think I don't think we had in a 2-year period a targeting call. I don't think we had one in my last coaching stop. But we taught tackle, went back old timey and said tackle with the shoulder. A lot are saying, well, tackle with your face mask. Now, to me, we took the head out completely because we're trying to take concussions out and not be losing defensive players. So there are things like that I think he'll look at. He's a very smart guy and a very good football coach. He'll come to the bottom of things. But the one piece that threw a red flag to me, repeat offenders. When he said that, I said, everybody better look out.
Right. Those names he listed, better look out.
Better look out.
Stay tuned. When we come back, it's stat of the day, and then we've got a national title game in football. But before we get into that, we'll get into the award-winning studs and duds. Stay tuned.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports, and then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general: baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back into the George Plaster Show as we get set for hour number 2. A lot of football, national title tonight, Georgia and TCU. But first, a few words on John English Antique Sports and Cards, 204 East Depot Street in Shelbyville, Tennessee. George calls it the beautiful Shelbyville, Tennessee, and it definitely is. Nice little downtown area.
Oh, it's beautiful. Shelbyville's a great city.
Takes me back, even though I wasn't born, George, to what the maybe the 80s. It feels like you're still there a little bit. But George, give him a call at 931-492-4388. Again, their number 931-492-4304. They're open Tuesday through Friday, noon to 5, and then Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. So John English Antique Sports and Cards. All right, let's see what Michael's got for us today in the stat of the day. And we go NFL. In his 10 seasons as head coach without Tom Brady, how many times has Bill Belichick made the playoffs? 10 times. Wow. Or 10 seasons.
Watson, excuse me. Seems to me that he made it one time in Cleveland without Brady. He made it one time when Matt Castle was the quarterback when Brady got hurt. He made it a year ago when they got trounced in Buffalo. Help me here. I think it's either 3 or 4.
Oh, we've lost.
We've lost.
We've lost you, Watson.
Okay, we'll try him again here in just a second. He's talking, but we're not hearing.
How about now?
There we go.
Beautiful.
That one was on me, fellas. Did your mic have
really?
a mute button, George?
I don't use it.
Oh, I did. That one was on me, Billy, so you don't have to sit there and fret, babe.
You're good.
So what do you think? I think it's either
I
3
said
or
I
4.
thought 3 as soon as he said that. It could be 4. I don't think it's any more than that.
For sure, there was one in Cleveland.
Yes.
There was one with
there was last
Matt
year.
Castle, and last year where they got
And this
whipped
year.
in Buffalo.
And this year.
Well, no, they didn't make it.
That's what I said. He's saying how many in the 10 seasons without Brady, how many times has Bill Belichick made it to the postseason?
Okay, you're going 3.
In his 10 season head coach.
It
may be reversed. It may be reversed. It might be 7. I don't know. I'm afraid I was thinking the opposite here. So I may have messed you up.
Let's go 3 or 4.
Let's stick with what we said. Let's go pick one.
3 or 4?
3.
Okay. Final answer is 3. It's 2.
2?
Yeah, 2 out of 10.
Boy, I don't remember that. He had one in Cleveland, did he not?
That's what it's got to be.
He
They
had
went
one
once in Cleveland.
Maybe Matt Castle didn't get him to the playoffs. I don't know.
That's a tough
okay.
one.
So he's been better with Brady.
Tad, but who hadn't?
Well, I don't know.
Brady has never. Y'all realize he's never missed a playoff, right?
Never.
Is that
well?
right?
He got hurt, but I don't know if you can blame that one on him.
No.
Has he missed one in any year? Did they miss one with the Patriots when he went the full season?
It's either 1, maybe 2, but I think
there's not many.
No, yeah, there's a good chance it's none.
He's called the GOAT for a reason.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
100. He's 45.
He's 45, right?
About to go 46.
Yep.
I'm convinced he wants to play until he's 50.
They're going to beat the Cowboys,
but it ain't going to be in Tampa. I don't.
No, I agree with you.
Nashville?
He's going somewhere.
But
I don't think he's through. I think this divorce will keep him in the business even longer now.
Man,
shall we go to studs and duds?
Let's do it, George. I'm ready.
Watson, these have been researched. Hours of research.
Like Mark Griffin's Tennessee basketball research.
Similar, yes, very much so.
All right. First one, of course, you got
DeMar
at the top of the show.
What a stud. Man.
Number 3.
I mean, what else is there to say?
Well, he fought to keep himself alive, there's no doubt, but he had plenty of help, as we've talked about. But what a class act. Once we've gotten to know this kid, George.
Yes.
and learned his background and everything he's done. My gracious, the NFL's lucky to have him. What a class act.
I heard on Twitter today after the opening kickoff return, he yelled so loud in the hospital that he let off about every siren in there.
I like
in
it.
his room.
I like it. Good for him. He deserved to. So, stud number 2, Buffalo. And I'm talking more the city of Buffalo than I really am the Bills. Man, what a show they put on yesterday. It was incredible.
The Bills Mafia is legit, George.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a better fan base. You always got to throw the Packers in there. I know everybody throws the Cowboys in there. The Chiefs is a fantastic city for the back in their team. But I got to put Buffalo after this week. Absolutely number 1. I'm right with you.
When they came here a year ago, they had half this stadium.
They did.
They apparently get more vacation time than we do here. I'm not sure how that works, but they seem to have a lot of vacation time.
You know, George, I'll also say the Jim Kelly years.
Yeah.
That they built a big fan base. They didn't win one, but a lot of people love the Bills and love Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and all those guys. So I think it starts right there with what those guys did, even though they didn't win one. They deserve a lot of credit for the Bills Mafia.
Number 3, how about your Detroit Lions, who find out 30 minutes before the game that they truly have nothing to play for except their hatred for Green Bay.
And helping the city of Seattle.
Absolutely. They were trying to help tourism in Seattle. Watson, clearly those players love Dan Campbell.
He's my favorite now, buddy. I've been watching him here late in the year, the way he handles his team, the way they play hard every week, the way he's built that team. That team is built with offense and defensive linemen first, George. Their offensive line may be the best in the league right now. They're knocking Green Bay all over the field last night. And their defensive line last night, standing the Green Bay offensive linemen straight up in the air, throwing them and making plays. They're built from inside out, which is still the way after 100 years of football, you still build a team inside out. Start with your offense and defensive line and go from there.
Get ready. The days of them being the league's punching bag are over.
They're over. They're going to be good.
Item number 4. What about Alabama? They look like a national title contender. They're ranked higher than their football team, for God's sakes.
Basketball school.
Yeah. By the way, there will be a corresponding dud.
Yeah, I was fixing to. You beat me to it because I said, I bet I know a dud that's coming.
Oh, yeah.
All I want to do is talk about Kentucky losing that game right now.
Oh, my goodness. First of all, up in the Commonwealth, they're going crazy.
Oh, they got to be.
Absolutely ready to lynch him.
I hear they're not even watching the games anymore.
Oh, it's a tragedy.
Okay, George, dud time.
Oh, South Carolina, nice offense. I guess Watson losing to Vandy in overtime must have really killed that team.
They always say when you lose to Vanderbilt, the guy gets fired. So
you're even wearing their shirt, George.
But it was never aimed at basketball in the past.
No, it's football.
That's the sad part.
It wasn't aimed at baseball and it wasn't aimed at basketball. It was football. You lose to Vanderbilt in football, you're fixing to get fired. So.
Nice effort. If you have South Carolina plus 42, you are a loser. Think about that.
What was the line there?
Oh, I have no idea, but
it had to have been at least 20.
85 to 42 at home.
That can't
That's
happen.
a way to keep selling tickets. So let's go to number 2. Oh, yes.
Trouble on the Commonwealth.
I don't pretend to know what's going on, but I know this. Something inside the Commonwealth smells bad. It's like walking in a room and you got a dead fish, but you can't find the thing. You know it's stinking up the room. Watson, what is going on there?
I don't know. But just watching Cal through his history, he'll be gone. I don't see him staying around. I think he'll beat the posse and he'll be out of there. He'll be coaching somewhere else next year. Maybe the NFL,
really?
NBA. Huh?
Do you really?
I do. I think this is enough. I saw the look in his eyes last year. It really got to him last year, George. He took it hard now with what was going down, and I think he's had enough. I think this will be it.
Okay, moving along, Georgetown. Oh, the Patrick Ewing era. It's an embarrassment. They're not even close. They haven't been close all year. This is a sad story. I mean, this was a program that we all used to fear. And Patrick Ewing was in the middle of all that Hoya paranoia. Now it's just Hoya sucks. They're awful.
And George, there's not a former NBA player that's having success at the college level right now. If you really look at it, there's several of them out there. None of them have really done anything. So that's kind of a recurring theme. And he's a guy that played at Georgetown.
Sure did. And they want to give him every opportunity. And right now,
I gotcha. And
right now, did you notice that, Watson?
I did. You're wising up.
Watch closely.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. This is big. Listen, we spare no expense on
Watson
technology.
can do it too.
Just watch. It's going to be a coaching change.
And Marquette,
be a sad one too.
It will
sad
be
for Georgetown and sad for Patrick. Nobody's wanting to do that one.
Oh, you know that. And then the fourth one, Arizona at home. Washington State's not exactly the Celtics and the Golden State Warriors. Where'd that come from?
Oh, no. You need to mute that.
He's going to get real good at that.
Yeah. I've gotten very good at it. In fact, the way I feel, I think we could mute the whole thing. How about that? So let's see here.
You're just a ray of sunshine.
I am, aren't I? After the break, we'll get to Watson's tale of the tape of tonight's national title game. TCU, Georgia. ESPN at the moment is in their fourth hour of pregame overkill. It's ridiculous. It's a game, not an anthology series. Stay tuned.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Scholar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is simple. I chose Hermitage Strike and Spare. They were amazing. Great food, great bowling, and a staff that's ready to go the extra mile. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5665.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to donleytimmons.com.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Okay, so tonight we do have a national title game in football. Georgia and TCU, as though you didn't know that. ESPN well into its fourth hour of overkill. How many different ways can we show SoFi where the game's going to be played? Watson, what would you have made the line if you had to make it that Saturday night after the two semifinal games? What would you have done?
8. I would have had it around 8, 9 at the most. I think this is, and I think it's going to be less than that. We don't want to get too ahead here, but I think it's going to be a really good football game.
Why do you think they went that way?
Huh?
Why do you think they went that way?
I just think the history of Georgia, TCU never been there. The games TCU had to come back from to win, I think half their season, they had to come from behind. And it just, I think it's still, you look at the TCU and you look at the G, I mean, it's just these kind of teams hadn't been there, George. And
sure,
it's a little bit of that Joe Namath. If TCU wins tonight, this could open up a can of worms to change a lot of things. And TCU is a Power 5 now. They're not a Group of 5.
No,
they were
but
a Group of
there
5
was a
when I was in the
time-
league with them, but they're Power 5 now.
There was a time where you would lump TCU with Kansas State, Northwestern, Tulane, and Vandy.
Yeah, I mean, they were real good. It was Gary Patterson had just taken over when they were in our league in Conference USA, and they were real good. They were a very strong Group of 5, but think about where they've come since those days, George. It's a great story. Gary did a really good job there in setting this all up. I give Gary a lot of credit. I don't think he's gotten enough credit for where they are. They rebuilt the stadium. They did a lot of stuff. But Sonny Dykes has just been unbelievable. And to read the stories about him when he was coming up with Halma, he's in the Mummy group. He's in with that bunch. So just looking at his background, and his dad was a head coach a long time at Texas Tech, and but just watching him come up, he deserves this. He's come up through the ranks and done a really good job.
Real quick, Watson, have you ever seen any story in college football like this year's TCU where they're 5-7? They didn't even make a bowl last year, and now all of a sudden they're playing for a national title. I mean, have you ever seen anything close to this?
No, not to this level. I've seen teams come back and play in really good bowls from being 2-9 and stuff like that, but to play for a national championship with a team. But one thing makes a big difference in today's world, Billy, this transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
You can fix a team a lot quicker now than you could when I was coaching. You just could not fix a football team in a year. You couldn't do it. And you could get started in the right direction and make strides, but you couldn't completely make an overhaul like this. This transfer portal changes everything, I think. You can go from a 3-9 to a 9-3 real easy with the way this thing is now. My brother says he'll have 40 new faces in his program, and
Crazy.
40 new faces. So, I mean, it's a different world. It's a total different world.
By the way, a lot of people caught off guard by what the start time tonight is. 6:30 is what was said to be the start time, 4:30 out on the West Coast. And looking at some stuff ESPN has put out there, 6:45 will be the opening kickoff.
Also known as probably 7, if we're being honest.
Filler.
Yeah.
Fluff.
Watch our 30-minute pregame show, and then
Mhm.
we'll kick you off at 7.
Yeah, after we've done 6 hours of pregame before that. Okay, so we're just as guilty as they are for the next 10, 12 minutes. Let's put the tail of the tape up there. And Watson,
this is an interesting one.
Yeah, let's talk about the running game. And maybe I didn't do it total justice, but you have it close to dead even.
Well, and I think it depends off of their tailback Miller, who's a really good player for TCU. I think that's his name. And he hurt his knee about midways of the Michigan game. Tried to come back in the second half, couldn't do it. If he's healthy, I put it there. If he's not, I lean it to Georgia. There's a really good tailback behind this kid, Miller. He played in the second half, made a lot of plays. He's faster. He's a different kind of back. But if Miller's healthy, I think TCU runs the ball just as well as Georgia runs it, George. I do.
Okay, you've got the passing game in a similar place. There's been a lot made in recent days that Georgia has stopped getting pressure on the quarterback. Against Ohio State, Stroud could have sat there in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
If that happens tonight, then what?
Trouble is brewing in River City.
Trouble.
I'm telling you right now, that's not a good sign for Georgia. Georgia does not cover you well. They're a little bit like the Titans here at the end of the year, George. It comes off their defensive front. When they get good pressure, Georgia's pretty good on defense. When they don't, Georgia don't cover very well now. And they've given up close to 500 2 games in a row. You cannot make light of that. And one of those is against an LSU team that is not playing for a national championship. They're a solid team, but they're not national championship contender. So I'm telling you, you go down these first 2, I think you got a really good football game tonight.
Well, can you fix what ails Georgia's defense in 10 days?
I don't know. We're going to find out tonight. The only way you're not going to fix it in the secondary. You're not. You can't fix those problems unless they've had busted coverages. I'm not seeing a lot of that. Now, front, if they get back to rushing the passer better, they're fresher, they're healthier. So, I don't know. TCU's pretty good offensive line now. I was very impressed with the TCU offensive line against Michigan. Michigan's been a dominant defense all year, Georgia, a lot like Georgia. But TCU, Duggan stood back there for a long time. They ran the ball well against Michigan. Things you hadn't seen Michigan's defense giving up. TCU was able to do it.
Yeah, they gave
better
up
look out.
51.
I'm telling you, they're better than people think.
Yeah. Okay, so you've given the edge on defense to Georgia.
Yep. If we get back to mid-season Georgia or mid-late season Georgia, for some reason when they kind of beat from Tennessee on, and they basically had the league won, the Division One.
They put it.
I don't know. I just hadn't seen the fire in them the same way. I think they'll relax more. I think there was more pressure on them in the last game with Ohio State than there will be tonight, and especially at the start of this game. So I give it to defense to Georgia, but I really was impressed with TCU's defense against Michigan. Nobody stopped the Michigan run. TCU went in there with a plan, and they stopped it. They made Michigan throw the ball, and Michigan couldn't hardly throw it well enough to beat TCU, George. So don't think TCU can't go in and stop the run when they really put their minds and their game plan to it, because they did.
You gave Georgia the edge in kicking game.
Yeah, but not big, but yeah. I think Georgia's just punts. Their whole kicking game is a little better than TCU's. TCU's had some issues, But the returner, McConkey, when he is well, he don't fumble it. He makes good decisions. He gains yards, but he's been hurt. And he played in the last game with a sore knee, and he didn't make much happen in the kicking game. He needs for Georgia to have the big plus there. He needs to be well tonight. We'll see if he is.
Watson, I'm going to be very curious. You gave a really light check mark to Georgia as the home team tonight. I think this is going to be a weird crowd. First of all, the people in California, who knows whether they get there in time. Kickoff may have a bunch of empty seats just because that's always the way it is.
And the stadium's huge.
Yeah, it's 90,000. I don't see Georgia. I could be dead wrong, but that's an expensive trip to go, let's say, Atlanta to L.A.
Georgia fans will be there.
Yeah.
You're going to see red in half of that stadium. So they'll have the most. TCU's a private school.
Yeah.
It's not a big school in numbers. They will have a good crowd, but they're not going to match Georgia. When the crowd becomes in favor of TCU as you get to the second half, which I'm fixing to get to, you get to the second half and it's a very close game.
Right.
Everybody is going to go toward the TCU side except the true Georgia fan.
Yeah, there's going to be a good amount of neutral fans in there that
NCAA basketball tournament kind of stuff.
And they're all
first round games, NCAA basketball. This could be it tonight. Yep.
Okay. Intangibles.
My intangibles are quarterback that plays the best wins the game, but the other team's pressure on that quarterback will have something to do with how that quarterback plays. So it's a combination of that will win the game. And I think if TCU wins the game, this is an intangible, they've got to be in it at halftime. They got to be real close at the half, which then I think puts the real pressure on Georgia coming out in the second half, George. And, I mean, TCU's playing with house money. They are starting the game. They're going to be loose, but I think Georgia will be all right because they got through the pressure game. But if they go in at the half and this game is nip and tuck, I think they come back out with a lump in their throat that they're going to have to handle that TCU's not going to have because they're absolutely playing with house money.
Okay, let's see what you got here. Ooh,
I got a great game.
Wire.
I got a great game again. I just believe in these TCU kids. Last week convinced me. I know how good Michigan is.
Yeah, they put up
Michigan threw it better than I thought they could. They threw it better than I thought. Michigan's real good on defense, and nobody had stopped their running game. Well, TCU stopped their running game and went up and down the field on their defense. Michigan did not stop TCU in the game. They went up and down the field. I don't think Georgia's any better than Michigan on defense right now. For some reason, I just don't think they are. I expect the same kind of game. I just got a feeling Georgia will pull it out at the end because Stetson Bennett has been there, and I think he will relax more in this game than he did the last one.
Here's a big shocker. David Pollack picked Georgia.
No, I can't imagine that.
I knew you'd be surprised.
He's one of the more underrated homers that cover college football.
Absolutely.
I mean,
we talk
don't
about
bet with your heart. I proved that this year picking Vanderbilt twice in North Carolina in the underdogs. It cost me the season. Don't bet with your heart.
No, let's do this. After the break, we'll talk a little bit more about tonight's title game. Stick around. This is the George Plaster Show. Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East. and their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. Oh my God, ESPN just ended their coverage. 4.5 hours worth. But you know what, Watson? We'll pick up the slack.
Yeah, we will, George. We're good at this too.
Oh, yeah. Filler. So, can TCU win without Max Duggan having a monster night?
Oh, we just lost Watson. Oh, no.
Well, I guess he got tired of me.
Yeah, he just said, I'm out of here.
Okay.
What was
Get
your
him back here in a second.
What was your question, George?
Can TCU win without Max Duggan being lights out?
It's a good question.
That's why I asked it.
I mean, you got to believe he has to play the game of his life as we've got Watson back in here. Watson,
hey Billy, I hit the cord, babe. That's my fault.
Oh, wow.
I hit the cord, knocked me off.
You need to be better tomorrow, Watson.
That could be a suspension.
Don't cut my pay, George, please.
No. So, Watson, you may have heard the question. Can TCU win tonight without Max Duggan having a monster game?
If Georgia what was that last piece? If Stetson has a monster game?
No, if without Max Duggan having a monster game.
No. He has to play really well. Georgia has a better chance of winning if Stetson doesn't have a monster game than TCU does without Max having a monster game. But I think he will. That's just him. He seems to show it in the big stages and the big times. He don't back down from anything and seems to pick his game up, George. Look late in the year when they had all these comebacks. That's when he was at his best. What was the game we were watching? Was it Baylor? Late in the year before they went to their conference championship game. I think it was Baylor. And I mean, that last drive, the kid just absolutely willed his team down the field. I think he shows up in the big stages. No way I don't think that he doesn't have a big game. Keeping him healthy may be important because he'll try to do a bunch with his legs tonight. So he needs to stay healthy.
Okay, Watson, let's talk about that. Do you put a spy on him? Do you do some unusual things to limit his running, or do you just have to accept it?
I would a lot of the night have a spy on him. I know I would have a spy on him on passing downs. He makes so many plays, George, out of the pocket. He finds targets on the move well, and he also runs well. So he does both. Most of the time, a quarterback is a scrambler to look to throw, or he's a scrambler to run. This kid, more than anybody in the country, looks to throw and run. He has a great knack of making the right decision. So Max has got to play a great game, and TCU has got to have a fantastic first half, George.
No doubt about that. So let's go to the Georgia side of this, because we're all hearing this history stuff. They got a chance at back-to-back football national titles, and that is certainly an amazing accomplishment. But Watson, this year, it looks like that the burden of that has gotten to them. I don't see quite the joy that I saw a year ago. You buy that?
100% agree, and that's why I give TCU a shot. I really saw heat on Georgia against Ohio State. Really saw it. Saw it in the quarterback. He had a middle of that game, second, third quarters, George, he really did not play well, and he looked jumpy, nervous. I think last year they were TCU. And we never won one. We're here. Let's do it. This year they're supposed to win. I've been in supposed to win games, and I've been underdogs, and the attitude's a total different animal, man. And that's why I think the longer the game goes, the more pressure's on Georgia, and that's TCU's game plan if I'm them. Hang in there, boys, till halftime. We cannot get off to a poor start here. This is not a team that we are going to come back 20 points down from. We can't. We're not. It's not happening. So hang in there, and we go back out in the second half. Who's the heat on? George, I've used that so many times with my teams that have been underdogs. I can't tell you. I promise you Sonny Dykes is using it tonight.
So a year ago, Georgia had a lot of pressure. It was to get the Alabama monkey off their back.
Yeah.
But this feels different. This feels like the sort of a something on their back that's a history thing. A little bit like the Cowboys trying to win 2 or 3 Super Bowls in a row under Jimmy Johnson, that the first one was a ton of fun, but in the second one, owner and coach got in the middle of it, and it was more relief when you won and not nearly the satisfaction.
It's hard to win one. It's near impossible to win back-to-back. And has anybody done it? Alabama maybe without playoffs back in the Bear Bryant time, maybe? I can't remember.
Well, didn't Saban win back-to-back?
Saban have a back-to-back stuck in there?
Yeah.
Are they the only one since the playoffs started?
Yeah, they are the only ones, 2011 and 12.
It's hard. It's hard, and Georgia's got the chance to match that. I think they will, but I don't think it's going to be easy, and I think they're going to go through some rough patches tonight. Unless, and I keep going back to it, unless they really jump out quick and get a nice lead early. That's the only way this isn't a good game tonight.
Watson, we had a question in the chat room about TCU's pass rush. And you know, we saw a lot from D. Winters against Michigan. The question was, do they have one? You know, do they have enough?
They don't try to. They're a 3-man rush team, and they'll rush 4 a little bit. They come after you. They're not a big blitz team. They did come after Michigan a little more than they had other people during the season, which caught Michigan off guard. So TCU tries to defend you by defending, Billy, instead of rushing you. So it's not going to be that big a deal. I think Stetson Bennett's going to have to move around tonight in the pocket because of 8 droppers a lot and make plays sliding around in the pocket and hunting an open guy. I think he's going to have poise and not be as jumpy as he was in the Ohio State game.
If you're TCU, do you change any of your 3-3-5 scheme, or is it too late for that?
No, they changed it against Michigan. They came up and devised an overloaded, whatever they did, it was really neat, and stopped the run. So don't expect TCU just to say, okay, we'll go play our vanilla defense. They may come after Georgia a little more. They did Michigan. They had success when they did. I would venture to say they come after Georgia more than they've come after anybody all year tonight. Pick and choose their moments. Don't do it the whole game, but pick and choose their moments.
Because if they can't frustrate Stetson Bennett, he's got time back there.
Well, if he handles the 3-man rush, Billy, they have no choice but to come after him. Michigan's guys didn't greatly handle the 3-man rush. They were inconsistent in the passing game. Made a lot of big plays, but guys turned it over twice for touchdowns.
Yep.
And so Stetson's the key. And getting running game going against TCU. Will TCU play to the run like they did Michigan? They just lined a bunch of them up there on those running downs and said, you're not running it. How will TCU treat Georgia, who doesn't just rely on the run the same way that Michigan did? And so that's a big piece of this cat and mouse tonight. Watch early and see what type of pressure TCU uses. Do they stick to their 3-man? Mix a little 4, or do you see 5 people coming more? TCU all out blitz Michigan more than I saw them do it all year long, and we're in pure blitz man some in the game. That was not TCU hardly ever.
And you got to believe the injuries for both teams are going to play a factor. If Kendry Miller is able to go, that's going to be huge for them. But also, if Darnell Washington can go, he is such an impactful
He's a beast.
I can't see either one of them being full speed, which is going to hurt both offenses. That's 2 big pieces. Georgia did not look the same with that second tight end in the game.
No.
You watch Georgia, they just stuck a backup in. They stuck with their stuff. They didn't go to 4 wides or 3 wides much. They stuck with their stuff. And so I can't see Georgia changing tonight. I think you'll see 2 tight ends in the game most of the time.
Some of the blocks Darnell Washington makes, he just flattens people.
He's about 6'10".
What is he, 6'7"?
He's like 6'8". Yeah.
6'7",
LeBron James.
6'8", and he runs like a inside receiver runs.
Gazelle.
That was a bad sprain. I don't think there's any way either one of these 2 kids are healthy tonight to make a big factor in the game. And I think it'll hurt TCU even more than it'll hurt Georgia.
We'll go to our final break, and then we'll have Plaster Bet of the Day, which involves tonight's national title game. Stay tuned. Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East, and their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100.
Welcome back in. Final segment of the George Plaster Show on this Monday night, heading into Georgia and TCU. If you didn't know that game was happening tonight, must not have been watching.
They play tonight?
Yeah, George, they do play. Must not have been watching ESPN all day like us, but it's time for your bet of the day. It is brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. They are lawyers you can trust. Give them a call at 615-242-9000. That's 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, let's see what happened this weekend.
Let's do.
Georgia, and not bad. Honestly, pretty good. You got the Titans game you covered there. Green Bay, that one lost. Not
Green Bay.
Not sure how. But
Aaron Rodgers just threw some pop-ups.
That deep throw down the right sideline.
I could have caught it.
That was his last throw as a Packer.
Maybe. Who knows? Let me say this about what you saw at the end of the telecast with him and Randall Cobb. Pay no attention to it. This guy loves the drama of, oh, is he coming back? Let's all have a vigil and wait on his answer. Screw that.
It looked like all the Packers fans were clapping for him too, even after that loss. But I don't think they're too happy with him.
He didn't play very well.
No, but Buffalo and Kansas City both did, and you got that teaser, George. So
yes,
big. Whenever the teasers hit, that's big. So
yes,
Watson 98 and 98. He's back to 500. He's back to the line.
Back to square one.
Now, Watson, I want you to look at this really close, okay? Because initially, I went with Georgia minus the 12.5. And I want your guidance on this.
Bad
yeah.
pick.
No, I want your guidance. Should I change my bet?
I think you should.
Okay.
I think
you
should.
What?
I think it'll be under that.
What's your score prediction here, George, if you had to?
About what he did.
Okay, so Watson changed his mind.
This is not the Sisters of the Poor. They just put 51 on Harbaugh. Maybe he was busy getting ready for, going to Denver for his Bronco interview.
He was into that game.
Yeah, he sure looked like it. I mean, they put up 51. Yeah. They are not chopped liver. We're going TCU.
Ooh, I'll switch up.
So you're taking TCU in the 12.5.
Here's the beauty of it. If it works, I'll take the credit.
If it doesn't, I catch all the heat. Hey, I'm not a fool here. I know how this setup went down.
Oh yeah, it's exactly how this one's going to work.
I can see this one.
Yeah,
you just needed a scapegoat.
Watson, enjoy the title game.
I'm going to.
Yes,
it's been a nice football year, hasn't it?
A lot of people will have their nachos and queso. I'll have Mucinex.
Mucinex?
Yeah.
Boy, that sounds like a wonderful night, George.
Doesn't it, though? Doesn't it? Listen, you behave.
I will. Get well.
I'm going to try. We'll see all of you tomorrow. Don't go away.